Next tonight, parts of Yorkshire ravaged by the Boxing Day floods have been given a boost in today's budget. Chancellor George Osborne has announced £150 million of funding for flood defences in York, Leeds and the Calder Valley.
Well, the cash has been broadly welcomed, but with a few caveats. Our business correspondent Danny Hewson has sent this report from Hebden Bridge.
It's finally business as usual for the Lamppost Cafe in Hebden Bridge, but it's taken months to get here. Flooded on Boxing Day, yesterday was the first day they were able to reopen. They're positive, but wary of every raindrop.
You kind of just shut your eyes and pray, it's just a quick shower. For us being right beside the river, we can't help but keep watching those river levels. We watch them by the stone, like, oh, it's gone up a stone, and oh no, it's gone down a stone. So yeah, we are watching it all the time. It is a pressure.
Although no one here was watching the budget, it didn't take long for news that £700 million had been earmarked for defences to filter out.
Unsurprisingly, the announcement of cash for flood defences has been broadly welcomed in the Calder Valley, as I'm sure it will be in Leeds and York as well. But what people here really want to know is how quickly that cash will be making a difference on the ground.
And there's also concern about how the money will be spent. High above the valley, Emma Bremner keeps her chickens. She's also using some of her land to plant trees, which in time will help soak up some of the water that's been causing such devastation. She wonders if a bid to get headlines could mean missing out on smaller but more targeted solutions.
I think the problem is a lot of people talk about flood defences, but we need to look at why the flooding is happening, where it's happening and how it's happening. And building giant walls around rivers is brilliant as defences, but actually is that the solution? I think it would be sensible to look at many approaches, and I think from the experience we had with the Calder Valley flooding, it wasn't just a simple solution of let's just build something and let's just dredge the bottom and then make a bigger container at the bottom.
With the cost being met through raised insurance premiums, people of the Calder Valley are happy they've been remembered at Westminster. Help is needed. They'll take it tomorrow, but yesterday would have been better. Danny Hewson, BBC Look North, Hebden Bridge.
Well, let's get more detail on this now with our political editor, Len Tingle. Len, £150 million for flood defences in our region. It's the same question every time. Is this new money or are they rehashing an old announcement?
It's a question that has to be asked every time because the Chancellor does have a habit of sometimes making the same announcement several times. But this time around, as you heard from Danny there, this is new money on two counts. Firstly, the source. Danny did mention it's not coming directly from the Treasury. It's coming from a levy on insurance policies. So, in theory, the insurance companies are paying it, although, in fact, it'll be us that's paying it via that levy. There's a second reason as well, and that's because as the weeks have gone by, a number of specific announcements have been made about money for specific projects, for things like rebuilding bridges, for doing specific work, and this announcement is in addition to those funds that have already been announced.
So the next obvious question then is £150 million for the whole of Yorkshire going to be enough? I seem to remember that the scheme that was scrapped in Leeds to protect Leeds was £180 million.
That's certainly the criticism that's coming forward. I mean, there are still details that have yet to be done, particularly details about when the money is going to be released, but we're talking about £19 million for the Foss Barrier, £26 million for the River Ouse, £35 million for the Calder Valley. And as Leeds City Council has already pointed out, that would leave them with about 40 to 50 million for the Leeds region, and it was 180 million for the scheme that was scrapped back in 2010.
And Trans-Pennine links then, that's another favourite subject of the Chancellor. What did we learn today about the progress of our high-speed rail project?
It's a step forward, but just a step. There's been a certain amount of money put forward, about £300 million, that is basically going to put together a blueprint as to how we're going to achieve a Trans-Pennine tunnel and also improving those links, what the Chancellor calls HS3, on the train between Leeds and Manchester. But we don't know much more than that, because although it's £300 million, a lot of money, the total cost could be a minimum of £7 billion and maybe over £20 billion over a decade or 2 decades. So we're a little bit further towards that goal, but not that much further.
Len, as ever, thank you for your expert analysis.